Hello, Bimanto. Yes, I'm right here, and we just left the press conference where all the 5 co-chairs of the World Economic Forum on East Asia, speaking to the members of the media, Hans-Paul Bergner, the chairman of the Boston Consulting Group, John Riyadi, the executive director of Lippo Group Indonesia, Budi Gunadi Sadikin, the chief executive officer of Bank Mandiri, William Lacy Swing, the director general of International Organization for Migration, and Teresita Saikosong, the vice chairperson, SM Investments Corporation of the Philippines. Now, one of the key topics that was discussed or that was brought up with all the 5 co-chairs was regionalism and how what Indonesia being a co-host means to the forum in East Asia, in Southeast Asia, and also the Asia Economic Community that is taking place or starting in November this year. And with me at the moment to give his perception and his view, not just on these key topics, is Vincent Chin, the senior partner and managing director for Southeast Asia. Vincent, thank you so much for joining us again. This opportunity. I know you've been very busy. Now let's go straight to the key challenges that Indonesia will be facing, since AEC is one of the main topics that is just being widely discussed in this forum, not just in the forum. So go ahead.
So Florence, you know, AEC is not a new concept.
Yeah.
It's been around for a while now. 2015 is just a milestone date.
Yeah.
So to an extent, all countries in ASEAN, Indonesia included, has been working to prepare itself towards this economic community where there's freedom of movement of goods, services, and capital. So to an extent, the ASEAN Secretariat explains that, you know, a large majority of all the smoothing of the barriers, the lowering of the playing field has been done. We, however, believe that actually there are still some soft barriers in place. Soft barriers in terms of friction imposed not so much from tax and trade barriers, but by non-trade barriers. And therefore, AEC, as you and I perceive it to be, may not fulfill completely, come into fruition in the vision that it envisages. That said, the private sector already recognized this to be a 600 million man and woman economy.
Yeah.
So they are already taking steps to know how to operate in this environment where government has done, I would say, enough. Not quite to the extent that we said they would, but they've done enough, and innovative private sector companies are going to come in and operate the ASEAN economic community like as if it is one community.
Would you say there has been a strong collaboration, cooperation, or discussion between the private sector and the public sector in regards to AEC?
I think there has been some. Again, I think there can be more. But my advice to the private sector is don't wait for more to come, because your most innovative, forward-looking players are already figuring out a way of how to form local joint ventures and how to form various kind of strategic partnerships to get them a foot in the door already in this market.
And just
exactly.
taking those.
Yeah, and it's it's almost step-by-step evolutionary kind of move that they have to make. So those people who are waiting on the sidelines for all of the rules and regulations to be harmonized and made ready, they may find that they would have missed out on the game by the time 2015 comes to bear.
Okay.
Now, so Indonesia, back to your very first question, whether Indonesia is prepared or not, the truth is, I think everyone is coming. The investors are coming. In ASEAN Economic Community, Indonesia is the largest market.
It's
Nearly
happening.
half.
It's happening.
It's happening. Yeah.
Anyway.
And ready or not, the
You like it
investors
or
are
not, it's
interested.
happening.
Yeah. And why is it for sure happening? Apart from China and India, ASEAN, it's the next big thing. In fact, 600 million people, $2.5 trillion economy. That's already in economic terms the size of India. And with the growth rate that ASEAN is expected to grow at, between 5 to 6% per annum, you can easily imagine ASEAN by the end of this decade to be the world's 5th largest economic area. Sure, it's not a country, it's 10 different countries.
Correct.
But one could also argue that India and China are not actually one single country. There are more official languages in India than there are across the Southeast Asian countries. So I think the complexity is no different. And so you cannot ignore ASEAN, and within ASEAN, you cannot ignore Indonesia. So people are coming.
Okay, one point that has been stressed out by the chief executive of Bank Mandiri, and he said this maybe twice or thrice today, is that this discussion on the level forum should be taken down and to the grassroots, because so far discussions are only involving the elites, the business decision makers, the policy makers, but it needs to be understood by the grassroots, because they are the ones who will also be highly or hugely impacted by this integration.
Yes, and I think different governments have done different things to get the grassroots ready. I think the Singapore and the Malaysian government to some extent are probably the most advanced in really communicating to the grassroots, and in this case I'm actually talking about the private sector, the corporations and the SMEs in their markets, telling them to grow a regional wing, telling them to grow a board.
Right.
In fact, some of the companies in this region even have a vision to become regional champion, or regional powerhouse.
Yeah.
So there you go. I mean, they've already, the business community have really taken that on board. If you think about even at the community level, I think a lot of skill development program to really upgrade the people.
That will be one of the keys.
Yeah, and I think in some countries, that program has been gotten going, and I think that is one thing. SME development, for example. Technical education, vocational training. These are things that I think Indonesia should really get into the fray, such that when really all of these companies come together, Indonesia has the human capital and also the SME ecosystem to fit into the supply chain that will very naturally be built in this country.
Now, the chairman of BCG mentioned, okay, we're just going to have to go for a short break before we'll come back to more deeper into the AEC with Vincent Chin, live from the World Economic Forum on East Asia.